The following video is presented to you by the EA Game Changers. Thank you so much to EA for flying me to Orlando to take part in this early capture. What's shaking, Chewy Nation? ChewbaccaLemma here, back with another Madden 20 video, and today we're talking about the one change to MUT that no one is talking about, and that is archetypes. Now, these have existed in previous Maddens. If you didn't know, I was actually taking some screenshots, which you'll see on the screen here, of Madden 19, showing the various archetypes in franchise mode. So they have existed. This is not something new to the Madden franchise, but what is new is it has never been in MUT, and every player only has one archetype. Now, this is important. Again, I will stress that it is quite important. Every player has an archetype. If you played Madden 19, there was a rookie premiere loading screen that showed Kyler Murray, and in the top left corner there's this blue box that shows his archetype. You may not even have realized it, or you just were confused, but that is his archetype, which is the Scrambler archetype. I'm going to show a bunch of screenshots throughout this video that I took when I had my hands on the game, and these are just the archetypes that they have. There's about 4 archetypes per position. Some of them there's only 3, like running back has 3, tight end has 3, offensive line only has 2, fullback only has 2, but most of them have 3 or 4 different archetypes per position. And I'm going to focus mostly on quarterback throughout this video, but I'm going to show a bunch of screenshots of other players as well, so you can see that top left corner, those are the different archetypes and why this is so important for MUT specifically. So you have 4 different archetypes for quarterbacks. You have the quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who has improviser. You also have field general, like a Tom Brady. You have scrambler like Kyler Murray or Cam Newton. And one picture or screenshot I do not have here is the strong arm archetype. I tried to pull one. I just never pulled a Matthew Stafford or a Josh Allen of those types. I'm assuming those would have the strong arm archetype. So there's 4 different archetypes that are for quarterback, and there's many other, like running back has elusive back, power back, and receiving back, like CMC there. Fullbacks have a couple as well. Tight ends, wide receivers have a bunch. But specifically talking about quarterbacks, there is those 4 different. And what's so great about this is, and I know this is the hope that they have. I talked to the team about this, that they want the meta to be diverse, right? We don't want it to be stale. We don't want to see everybody doing the same thing with the same players, right? We want to see it diverse. And of course, that's always going to kind of happen. People are going to run the same thing they see online and try to match that. And it will get, that's always the case. That happens with every game, really. You try to mimic what the pros do if you want to be really, really good, generally. But with the archetypes, we might see, we're gonna see, I know we will see a lot more diversity in the meta. And the reason why I can be pretty sure about this is because there's some really overpowered abilities in this game, but they're not just on one archetype. They actually, somebody like a Patrick Mahomes or a Cam Newton have certain things that they have that somebody like Tom Brady will never have, but Tom Brady has things that those guys will never have as well. Specifically, let's look at Gunslinger. Gunslinger is always obviously a very popular Red Kim. Now it's just in the ability slot. Has always been a crazy popular ability in Madden, but what you may not realize is Gunslinger is not available on every archetype, and that's generally the case for a lot of these abilities. So like Gunslinger, Conductor, Escape Artist, and many others. There's Identified, like there's tons of different abilities that you have grown accustomed to using with your quarterbacks or your positions. The Playmaker Kim, the route making, hot route master that we've seen in the beta on Brady. All these different abilities that are so good, but they're not available for every quarterback. So even if you have a 99, 99, 99 everything across the board, they will, so the quarterback, that whoever that is, let's say is a Vic, he will never have maybe Conductor or Gunslinger. That's one that actually I find to be interesting. I believe scrambling quarterbacks never will have gunslinger, which is pretty crazy considering that, that's pretty important, right? You've always used that with your mobile quarterbacks, and now they don't get that. So they may have perfect accuracy on the run. You can put that ability on there, but then you don't get conductor, or you don't get identified, or whatever you want for your quarterback. You have to make these decisions for your quarterback and every position, really, whoever you choose to have your abilities / X factors. So the decision making, I think, is going to be really fascinating to see what people decide to do. A lot of people wanted to do like a quarterback and 2 wide receivers for their abilities, but then a running back, people are saying the arm bar is really, really good. Well, you can't get that ability if you don't have them slotted as one of your X factors. You only get 3 X factors on offense and 3 on defense. Those X factors are also the same players that get the abilities. The passive abilities are what's so important in Madden 20. That's what we've noticed in the beta, and we assume that's going to be the most important part in Madden 20 when we get the full game. So those passive abilities are only available for your X factors. So if you have a power-up, Todd Gurley, and you put abilities on him, but you don't put him as your X factor in your lineup, he doesn't get those abilities. He has to be slotted as your X factor in your lineup. So that's really, really important for those building a lineup. You only get 3 on offense and 3 on defense. The abilities plus the X factors, they go hand in hand. So what does this all mean? Well, obviously you got to make a lot of decisions when it comes to lineup, of course, but it also means that a diverse meta seems like it should be at least day one for a while, at least for probably the first couple months. You're going to see a lot of variety in what people are trying to run. One thing I kind of overlooked when discussing this as well is this is only for power-ups. Even though every player does have an archetype, every single player has an archetype. You'll see that in the top left corner. Every player has it. The only thing that's really affects, from what I've noticed, at least day one, is with the power-ups and the abilities. So the abilities like Matthew Stafford, he is a strong arm, but unless he gets a power-up, which he will probably eventually, you won't be able to put those abilities on him because he doesn't have a power-up. So just something to think about. That was from what I've played so far. Again, if that changes, it very well, but I think that's going to be the case. So you have these various abilities available for the power-ups, and as of now, we don't even have a strong arm quarterback on the core elite side. We may see a legend that gets it, that has the strong arm ability. So once that first strong arm quarterback becomes available for a power-up, maybe people will try him out because he's going to have abilities maybe that no other quarterback has. We'll have to wait and see. So that's definitely interesting. Also, something to note is when you go to upgrade these players, I was talking to one of the guys who does the user interface side. They wanted to make it where it was very clear to you when you're powering up a player what abilities you have to use, that you will have to be able to put on that player. Also, what abilities you will never have available to that player, and abilities that you will have available if you get enough upgrades to a certain overall or threshold. So they wanted to make it very clear on when you're going to power up. If it's grayed out, it may say not applicable. Maybe it will say not, like you never will get it. It doesn't apply to that archetype. Gunslinger, if you have a Cam Newton, you will never get it. Ever, 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 ever. I'm just using that as an example. I believe that's what the spreadsheet says. Like they could end up changing that, but an ability like that will never have the ability for Gunslinger with that archetype. So that will be made clear to you when you're powering him up. So you know if you start your power up with a Cam Newton, that's something that you will never have, and hopefully that helps make you a educated decision on what you want to do with your power-ups. Now, I know I focused a lot on quarterbacks, but there's other ones that matter as well. Running backs, like a receiving back, will have like route running. Like they might have like route run, like certain, you can put hot routes on them that you can't put on power backs and elusive backs, at least until they get way down the road when they get much higher overall. So Christian McCaffrey will be able to offer things that, even though he may not be that high overall, that other backs cannot do with the abilities. Again, you would have certain elusive backs that can do certain like juke spins, maybe power backs who can do more run you over sort of stuff that other archetypes can't do for a while at least, or maybe ever during the game. Wide receivers, same thing. You have these certain abilities that, the route running you'll be able to put the route running thing where you can put the 4 hot routes on them, but you won't have other chems that other players may have, like a possession or deep threat that would have as their ability. So it's just really gonna decide, which one do you want to run? Which abilities do you want? It will help you decide which players you want to run as well. And on defense, you have, again, a lot of options as well. You have like corners, you have man-to-man, you have zone coverage, slot corners. So you have all these different archetypes which will determine which abilities are available to that player. So that's something to definitely think about day one. When you look at the top left corner, you're looking at these archetypes. When you go to power these players up, definitely make sure to notice, okay, what abilities do I have available to me maybe when I power this guy up? What thresholds? It should tell you, and that's the plan. It will tell you. So you may have Conductor day one, which you will on Tom Brady, because I've already used it. So you'll have Conductor, right? But on someone else, you may not be able to get him until it was, a 97 overall. If you have somebody like a Newton, maybe. It will be like way down the road before you could even get Conductor on him. So it's definitely something to think about when you get your hands on the game. Look at these power-ups and look at the different abilities that you have at your disposal. And if it's a power-up sequence that you want to go down, or is it something you want to avoid because you start thinking about it, you're like, okay, he's going to be good maybe at the day one, but I don't really like these abilities. In a few months, I feel like I'm going to want to switch. So do you want to go ahead and switch now, or do you want to hold on and then switch? That's decisions that you have to make for yourself based on what you want to run in Madden 20. But I hope this video was informational, informative. That's what I was looking for. I hope it was informative. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm hoping it was unique. I wanted to try to make videos that other people aren't making, so that's what I tried to do here. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy, and that's all I got. ChewbaccaLemma out.